a bit about these cross-cultural stakeholder engagement and consensus building strategies for foreign investment projects. As you know, my name is Luis Ore. I work with individuals, groups, organizations, governments, use negotiation and consensus building strategies to advance their interests, improve business, working relationships, and deal with conflict more effectively. Here are some pictures of my work prior to the pandemic, this COVID, and this is post-COVID, the war before COVID and after COVID, I guess.
But only thing, Luis, you can't show me these pictures. Whenever I see these pictures, I want that hat. Those such beautiful hats that you wear out there. And so, I mean, look,
okay,
you have to get one of those sometime.
Okay, I will manage. And it's interesting because these are not very wealthy people, actually, that are poor living conditions, but the hats that they use are very expensive, and the hats represent the kind of the status of the hierarchical status that they have in their groups, in their societies. This is
which you have to be aware of. You are aware of that. I mean, this is something that the person has to be aware of.
Right, and that's a cultural situation or cultural factor that you need to identify. It's different how you. Well, we will get deeper into that. Yeah. Thank you. So the idea is to give you a context. Is like foreign investors may face challenges in host countries where they go to invest, and they run into cross-cultural situations until blocking coalitions that can prevent the successful implementation of those investment projects. So what I'm here to share with you is that a cross-cultural stakeholder engagement and a consensus building process approach can help to deal with these grievances, because governments around the world want to receive as much money, as much capital as possible as they want to improve their economies and the living conditions of their citizens. But we also have stakeholders that deal with the challenge of balancing environmental protection and economic activities or development. And many times, foreign investors, companies tend to overlook or generalize cultural factors. Now, the problem is that overlooking these cultural factors when managing negotiations and relationship with local partners or local communities can risk the successful implementation of a project. So there are several cases, and we share a couple of cases that, for instance, this American company wanted to do some investments in Honduras, and they reached an agreement with the government of Honduras to develop an extensive forest management program and harvest 300,000 hectares of pines forest for 40 renewable years. But after the agreement was publicly announced, local communities around the country, as well as environmental groups and activists, raised their voices, protested on the streets, and at the end, the government canceled the negotiations, and this company, the project didn't fly, was blocked and was eliminated, basically. So that approach, the decide, announce, defend approach, doesn't work. Many times investors and governments negotiate and make decisions about an investment project privately. They reach an agreement with public officials who then grant authorizations, and then they make a public announcement, very proudly make a public announcement, maybe with good intentions, but then when they run into oppositions, they put in a defensive mode. So even if a project can benefit a country economy and its population at large, that approach can cause the formation of blocking coalitions that at the end prevent the successful implementation of investment projects. The way an investment project is introduced to a local community and other stakeholders can impact its future implementation and development. So the announcement of an investment project might bring excitement to local communities because of its potential job opportunities and development, but also can result in a degree of uncertainty. And members of local communities may fear that their lifestyle will be threatened. And this fear can lead to anger and potential social conflicts, which is what we deal in this type of work. So when people feel threatened, they may fight for survival, with an either-or mindset, which is what we fight all the time as mediators or negotiators, with this win-or-lose mindset, and the conflict can escalate. So cultural dimension can explain how local communities may respond when feeling threatened. For more individualistic societies that focus on individuals more than groups, tend to fit with a universalistic approach to the application of law. So in these mostly more developed societies, believe or grown in economic wealthy societies, people believe that the rule of law is applicable to all as equals, and believe that people with fear or anger will go to the court system to protect their rights, because that's the way that should be done based on this mindset or cultural situation or factor. Well, more collectivistic societies, more societies that are define their identity by the groups, tend to fit with a more particularistic approach to the application of law. And they believe that the rule of law is applicable to particular individuals differently, and that some people have more benefits than others based on predetermined conditions. So many times, if you have more money, you will win the case more likely, or you can get away with whatever you think you can. So in these societies, with this cultural way of thinking or addressing or assessing the world, they tend to distrust the court system and the legal system. So when facing uncertainties, fear or anger, they tend to apply power-based approaches and participate in rallies and protests to get political attention, because they expect that the government will protect their interests, their needs, their concerns, their aspirations. Another case was interesting with another American company in Costa Rica, when the company found the proper location to construct or to build a facility. Environmental group launched a media and legal campaign to prevent the construction of this facility due to their concerns for the potential damage to the environment. Then a new government in Costa Rica came to power, and facing this situation, they appointed a commission to analyze the investment project and render a decision. So what they were going to do with this project. The commission encouraged stakeholders to provide feedback and request written submissions of recommendations, suggestions. And at the end, the commission made a decision, render a report, and approved the project, but requested the relocation of the facility. And this may not be a happy decision for the company, but this a joint committee with government representatives and stakeholders continue negotiating on how the best way to proceed. So if we talk about foreign investment, strategic processes, and trust, situational and cultural considerations, I can say that government can design, as some do, design processes to take care of the needs and concerns of all stakeholders and engage them well when considering an investment project. But there's no reason why a private foreign investment company cannot design a process to better face multi-party negotiations in a host country. So a foreign investor can decide to engage multiple stakeholders in a consensus building process to make a decision whether or not to invest and how to invest and how to do it best. So for instance, Latin Americans are a very uncertainty avoidance culture and do not easily accept change nor tolerate risk. So resistance to a project can be due to situational factors and also prior experiences that can affect people's perceptions. Maybe we talk about governments, either left or right wing, democratic governments, dictatorships, but local communities may perceive that foreign investors only come to take the wealth of their lands or damage their land with their economic activities and leaving them worse off. So distrust of a local community in local communities in foreign investors might be a common belief, a cultural tendency of uncertainty avoidance, or the result of a situational factor. So all these can prevent the successful implementation of an investment project. So the key, I think, is to inspire trust. One must shape expectations, as we do when we start a mediation process. So foreign investors can have a chance to shape the local community's expectations and perceptions by engaging the communities in direct, open, and honest dialogue to address these trust issues with a stakeholder approach, with mutual gains, which I think is what works best. So foreign investors should open dialogue to have members of local communities voices their views or of risks and grievances and find ways to satisfy their concerns and aspirations. So open dialogue is key, and listening to the concerns, grievances, perceptions of risk of people is key to then engage and intelligently, I would say, to address those concerns and aspirations. So a strategic approach that might work for foreign investors to do the implementation of the project can go this way and manage reputations up front, build trust and manage connections, and that goes along with identifying trustworthy leaders to share the interest of this company to do this investment project, learn about the interests of local communities, have sincere curiosity, know the circles of influence and all the social, political conditions on the ground. It's important to have a stakeholder assessment, as we always say, focus on interest, work together with local communities, do some joint fact-finding, think about contingency agreements to address different forecasts of the future, and involving joint problem solving. Think about the citizen choices that may have. We need to be aware or have this cross-cultural awareness. Think about the potential alternatives that the people may have if we don't reach agreements. And we need to actively engage not only with the legal or legitimate representatives of communities or the constituents. We also need to connect with the constituents and share what's going on with this dialogue process with the representatives. And it's important to foresee obstacles that the project's implementation may face and design dispute resolution mechanisms. So as a colleague says, we need to think about predictable surprises. So we will always have the tension between establishing foreign investment projects in developing countries and the impact of the environment in local communities. But foreign investors and local communities can work together to reach mutually beneficial agreements that take into considerations the needs, the concerns, the hopes, the aspirations that are important for each stakeholder. Even if there are huge cultural differences among the potential negotiating parties, there is always a chance to bridge this gap. We just need to be sincerely curious to learn about and from each other. So concluding, getting to the end of my presentation, I have to say that paying attention to cultural issues, respecting differences, learning about the local community, honoring local culture, appreciating others' identity, acknowledging emotions, and framing a foreign investment project as a mutually beneficial opportunity, and engaging stakeholders in decision-making processes will build the trust required to have a positive working relationship between and among foreign investors and local communities. So countries will welcome more foreign investment projects and improve the conditions of their economies and the living condition of the people. And might sound very logical, but sometimes we don't think about this. But for a community, for instance, to welcome mining, oil, gas, construction, development, any type of big investment project. So to welcome these big investment projects positively, the community has to believe and feel that it will be much better off than it was before the investment project arrived. So the project must be seen as a good neighbor and contributor to local development, and it must not seen as a risk to local tranquility or as a triggering factor of fears or as a promoter of destruction. And a key that I have learned through all this time working on these issues is that first we need to address the fears, the concerns, the worries of the people, and then we can talk about the value. Sometimes a company come and start talking about all the benefits that the community is going to get. But if the community has fears or concerns, they will not get or understand or even listen to those benefits that people may think. Well, we have, as many know, we have procedures that we can use. We have this joint fact finding. We have this consensus building process that a mediator can facilitate. But at the end, which is important is our mindset, our way of thinking, our way to engage. As Peter Drucker used to say, culture is strategy for breakfast. And this in my world means that it's useless to have the right tools and processes or strategies if we have the wrong paradigm or the wrong culture. So let's think of mutual gains and better engagement processes to do better. And that's it. I want to thank you, Vikram, for this opportunity. If anyone wants to know more about this or talk more or debrief or whatever, you can reach me. That's my phone, my email, or contact Vikram. Vikram know where I am always. That's it, my friend.